Kathy, what were some of the things that you faced during this time? Because I know, on an emotional level, it's really like an attack. It attacks your insides. Tell me about some of the things that you faced, and how you got through to the other side of it.
You face so many things with grief. Grief is horrible, absolutely horrible. I would not want to sleep by myself at night, so I started sleeping with my younger daughter. I would feel so isolated with people that's going through this, if they've lost a mate. Losing a mate and losing a child, it's grief, but it's different grief. When you lose your husband or your wife, then you just feel left out. If you go to a restaurant and you see all these couples sitting around, you feel like you're the outsider because you don't have anybody now. So you feel such loneliness. And I cried everywhere I went. If I was in a restaurant, if I was in Walmart, no matter where I went, I was crying. I couldn't help it. I cried so much until my eyelids dried out. I was so distraught, but yet at the same time, I know that the only thing that was going to get me through was Jesus. And I'll tell anybody that. I had a person to come up to me and say, "Why are you still trusting in the Lord after all you've been through?" And I looked at them like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
What else would I trust in? Man failed me. My husband's gone now, so that's, I can't trust in man. What else have you got? God he's always been my best friend, though. Even as a child in West Virginia, he was my best friend. I was raised in an abusive home. And so I would walk the railroad tracks in West Virginia and cry and talk to the Lord. And he's always been real to me, always. My mama, when I was a child, we had it rough growing up. And she'd say, "Just write a letter to Jesus." And then after we wrote our letters telling him our heart, she would burn them and she'd say, "Now they're going up to heaven,"
Wow.
And so God's
love
always
that.
been real to me.
Yeah.
And so even though I felt loneliness and I felt, there was days I'd wake up and I'd look in the mirror and I'd be mad at God. And I'd point my finger in the mirror like I was talking to God, and I'd say, "I don't understand why you're letting me go through this." But then a little while later, I'd go back and I'd say, "I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry." And I had a little preacher woman tell me, she said, "It's okay to be mad at God, but just don't stay there too long."
Yeah.
And then there would be days that I'd just be numb. No matter what I'd done that day, I was just numb. I was just like a mummy just going through, nothing fazed me. And then there would be days that you'd just be so emotional. You never know. You get so forgetful when you're going through grief, and there's just not enough words to describe it, because I feel like that there's some people watching right now that's understanding what I'm saying.
Yep. There's so many people out there and we do events where we're ministering thousands of people, and we come up all the time. People will come up and say, I've lost a parent, I've lost a husband, I've lost a wife, or they're in the middle of losing it. Maybe they're on their deathbed right now. I like what she just said. Write that letter to Jesus. Write it to Jesus, and man, just put it all down. Be real with them. Just get raw with them. Be
real.
And just put it all out there.
Because he already knows anyway how you feel.
He sure does.
Yeah, he already knows.
And put it out there and burn that thing. Send it on up.
Yeah.
Send it up to heaven and just let Jesus deal with it.
See, what happened with us is it was as a shock, because it happened immediately. We wasn't expecting it. I kissed them goodbye to go to church. They're going one way to church, and I'm going another way to do youth group.
Yep.
And they never come home. So when you watch a loved one die from sickness and then a shock, it's sort of different. I don't know if you really can prepare yourself for death or not, but if you can, you know your loved one's dying, maybe you can get your mind in a certain mindset. But when you just get the call that, victims are being cut out of the van and you go to the hospital and they don't cut no corners, they just say all of them are dead and there's 5 dead at one time.
Wow.
It puts you in a shock,
Because they're just ripped from your life.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, Kathy, thank you for sharing this. We're going to have to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be hearing more from Kathy and her story and how she grew up in West Virginia and some of the things, because of course that's where we serve, and she has seen it all. And so stick around right after this.